going to switch things up and go to your backyard, Larry. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so you got a huge election happening in New York City. City. And I want to pull up this video here. First of all, 2 videos. Shout out again to Case Study QB. And I think maybe we should start off with, breaking down the New York mayoral race. So let's go ahead and talk about it. We'll play the video in its entirety, and then I want you to shoot first, and then we got a second video as well. So shout out to Case Study QB.
With 6 weeks to go before the Democratic mayoral primary, former Governor Andrew Cuomo is still leading the pack by double digits. A new Marist poll has Cuomo at 37. Queens Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani is at 18 and 7 in single digits. Political reporter Marcia Kramer says that Mamdani is aggressively trying to close the gap.
A warm embrace and a slap on the shoulder. Zoran Mamdani hoping an endorsement from former Bronx Westchester Congressman Jamal Bowman will help jumpstart his mayoral campaign and move him up from a distant second to challenge poll-leading Andrew Cuomo.
Our path, with only about 40 or so days until the election, it is a path that goes through the Bronx.
Mamdani praising fellow socialist Bowman, who, though he lost his seat to George Latimer by a large margin, is someone
who won this very area with more than 80%. This is a leader of this community.
But a new Marist poll shows Mamdani may have his work cut out for him. 50% of Bronx voters support Cuomo. Council Speaker Adrian Adams gets 10, Mamdani gets 8. In Queens, it's Cuomo 48, Mamdani 15, Adrian Adams 9. In Staten Island, Cuomo 48, Mamdani 11, Scott Stringer 10. Manhattan, Cuomo 32, Mamdani 21, Brad Lander 10. And in Brooklyn, it's the closest. Cuomo 25, Mamdani 25, Lander 12. We generally don't comment on polls, said a Cuomo spokesman, but this shows what we all know. The city is in crisis, and New Yorkers believe Andrew Cuomo is the candidate with the experience and the record of results needed to get it back on the right track. Many candidates like Brad Lander are hoping to sway voters with ads.
When it comes to safety, Brad Lander is the choice for mayor. He'll end street homelessness for the mentally ill.
Is there a way for Mamdani to beat Cuomo?
No, there's no way for that to happen. These polls are clear. Mamdani has to answer the question. Assemblyman Mamdani has to answer the question. Do you have the experience to be mayor? I think it's such a large stretch for Assemblyman Mamdani to make the argument that he's better prepared than former governor of New York.
But yet Mamdani thinks he can close this gap. Why?
Well, he told me that he has 20,000 volunteers who are ready to get this knock on one.
He does have volunteers.
No,
he does. It's true.
Traditionally, Democrats don't like to vote in primaries. There's low turnout. So if he actually gets these people to the polls, it could really make a difference.
We'll wait and see.
He's counting on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we're just going to pause here because we got a second video to come up here. But it looks like, I don't want to say it looks like, but look, numbers do matter. You've run for office, Larry, and you have had many challenges running as a third-party candidate, which is a whole other animal altogether. But looking
100%.
at New York City, I'm getting some very shocking, I guess, PTSD. I guess I got that 1,000-mile stare because I'm looking at something that's very similar to Chicago politics. And so, yeah, he's name and only for being Democrat. But you have this person, Cuomo, who is number one. And since you're there in the ground, I want to give the commentary to you about what New York City could be facing off against as the weeks continue on.
Well, again, I'm going to be very clear on a couple of things. I know Mamdani. He's my assemblyman. I've had him on my show. He's actually not a bad guy. For those of you who don't know, he's not a bad guy. Mamdani, he cares about the city. He actually wants to support the city. I think his policies are terrible. I think they will not work at all. I do not think they work. He's a member of the DSA, and he's a true believer. So that's true. That's why people like him. People like him because he's a true believer. He actually wants to move things forward. That's why people like him. He's a practicing Muslim. That is why he does so well in Brooklyn, because Brooklyn has a huge Muslim population in New York City. Those who don't know, Brooklyn is the largest borough in New York City by population, and in fact, the largest county in New York State by population. 2.3 million people in one county. So that's the largest county we have in New York State. So yes, that is the reason why he does so well there. The reality of it is, though, Cuomo's going to win this thing. He's going to win this thing for several reasons. One,
you think it's a foregone conclusion?
Guaranteed. And it will happen because It will happen because he has the cash, name recognition, and here's the thing: New York City's in trouble. We all feel it. So when we're in trouble, what do we ask? What do humans ask for when they're in trouble? A strong man. That's what we beg for, right? When we're in trouble, we look for a strong man. And Cuomo's coming in saying, I'm the guy with the strong man. I'm going to do everything. Mamdani has a nice message. It's like, we're going to work together and help out. New Yorkers don't want to hear that. They want to hear somebody come in and fix things. We are begging for a benevolent dictator. I wish that wasn't true, but sadly it is. And the thing about Cuomo, which actually might work, it's possible. Cuomo, as I mentioned, is not someone who's actually an ideologue. He might actually do some decent things for the city. Again, if he thinks it's going to keep him elected. Here's the problem with New York City. You go to New York City mayor to end your career. That's the end of your career. It's over. So
Really?
Cuomo, yes. Well, ask President Bloomberg. Oh, wait, you can't. Ask President Giuliani. Oh, wait, you can't.
No.
Oh, ask President de Blasio. Oh, wait, you can't. Yeah,
No.
Gone. It ends your career. That's the end of it. We haven't had anybody have any chance of going for like 70 years. Like, I can't remember the last time anyone of a New York City mayor actually made it past New York City mayor. Maybe 100 years. It's been forever. So they go there to die. That's the end of your career. So Cuomo is savvy, though. So Cuomo has a way out. I don't know what that way is. That way might be Senate. That way might be governor again. He's got a way out in some way, shape, or form, or he's done, because that's where it goes to end. You can't. The reason why you can't run this city, New York City, 1/3 of the people in New York City actually aren't born in the country. Another 1/3 aren't born in the city. So most New Yorkers can't vote. So you have a very wide, disparate population of people who most of them can't even vote, who aren't even Americans. A bunch of them aren't Americans, and a bunch aren't even New Yorkers. So people vote where they came from. They don't vote in New York. So you're trying to control the city where the mayor gets elected by something like a couple 100,000 people out of an 8.5 million person election. I mean, population. Why? Because the election's over next month. Whoever wins the Democratic primary is the mayor. Note, no one even talked about the Republicans because they're not going to win. No one even knows the Republican. I mean, I know who the Republican candidate is, but no one even knows who's running for the Republican the primary. No one knows. Why? It doesn't matter. Everyone knows it doesn't matter. Whoever wins the primary next month will be the next mayor of New York. And I wish that wasn't true, but that's how it works. And I don't get to vote on this, so I have no say who my next mayor is. None.
And so hold on, I want to say this here. Hold on. Dabby Dab says, "I love you, Heartland's media fan. No Cuomo." Well, you know what? Here's the thing about New York City, and this is the similarity for Chicago politics too. The Democrat, it's the Democrats run the whole show, okay?
Yep.
And it is clearly one-sided. And yeah, you could run as an independent, but then you got to put the D around your neck and take that which way you want. New York City's got the same thing. I wouldn't say it's the exact same thing, but there are some very shocking similarities, like a lion and a tiger. They're big cats, very different, but they will maul your face off and cage. So again, different design, but overall same conclusion. And so I want to pull up this video here because now they're talking a little bit more about
New York City is 6-1 Democrat to Republican. 6-1.
Exactly. And even in Chicago, and I'll send you this link. Myself and Matt Weinglass interviewed a person who is one of the leading founders of Flip Chicago Red. I'll send that video to you. Maybe you could check it out. But they were actually able to turn 2 districts in Chicago red during the 2024 election night when Trump won the presidency. So let's play this video from Case Study QB.
The Democratic primary for New York City's mayoral race shaping up to be a landslide, according to the latest Marist poll.
Yeah, it gives former Governor Andrew Cuomo a commanding lead in a pool of several frontrunners. The results also found that nearly all voters polled want the next mayoral hopeful to take on the White House. Pix Lemon's Justin Finch joining us live here in the studio with more on the findings. As we were saying earlier, really no surprises here.
No big surprises.
There we go. I told you there's a way out.
Engaged in this race at this point already. This new Marist polling data comes exactly 1 month before voters cast early ballots in the city's Democratic primary. Marist saying it surveyed more than 3,000 likely primary voters and finds former Governor Andrew Cuomo leading the 9-person race. Marist polling finds he is the top choice for roughly 40% of likely Democratic primary voters, including undecideds. His nearest opponent is Queens Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani, coming in with 18%. Their remaining 7 rivals all polling single-digit support, as Marist finds 17% of likely Democratic primary voters are undecided. Marist finds Cuomo outpacing Mamdani across 4 rounds of ranked choice voting before breaking way out with 53% support in round 5. That's excluding undecideds. Mamdani follows with 29%, and City Comptroller Brad Lander comes in third at 18%. By round 6, Marist shows Cuomo launching farther ahead with 60% in a 2-man race, with Mamdani landing at 40%. And the Marist poll finds Cuomo polling high with likely Democratic, Black, and Latino voters, and Mamdani holding strong with voters identifying as very liberal and voters also under age 45. Most voters say, too, they want to vote on primary day in person.
Yeah.
That says a lot, too. Lots of support in the Bronx, Queens, and Staten Island as well for Andrew Cuomo.
We were talking about this yesterday in the political team, and we're taking a look at numbers and people who vote in primaries, how they're historically low amongst Democratic voters in New York City. And we're talking about like a third of voters actually head to the polls compared to the millions who are registered. This election may look a little different because so many more people are engaged than in years past. It's going to be very interesting to see what shapes out.
Now, Dan, do you think that if younger people turn out in this race, it could change what we're seeing in the data so far?
Well, this is the thing. When you look at the numbers from the history, younger people did not turn out. But what Zoran Mamdani is doing is really engaging in the youth by going to social media for a lot of his ads. So it's going to be interesting to see when all is said and done what the demographics are of what lays out. Because to your point, if you bring in the younger generation, it may change the numbers.
It's interesting.
Fascinating. So let's go ahead and pause here, Larry.
Yes.
Go ahead, because you've run in New York politics. So go ahead. I'm going to defer to you.
100%. Yes, and sadly, I know some of these guys, which makes it even worse. But yes, so some guys in your chat are talking about things like, Mamdani will win in the future. True, I think that's true. Most people in New York who they keep running when they can't win, they run for 2 reasons: 1, name recognition, and 2, increasing the donor base. Mamdani is setting himself for the future. My gut says Cuomo wins this thing, hands down. Mamdani comes in second and does well, increases his name recognition and donor base. So what happens next? AOC either runs for VP, she tries to run for president and becomes the VP selection, or she runs for Senate here in New York State, trying to knock out Chuck Schumer, and then she gives up her congressional seat. Mamdani takes that congressional seat. Now, what's my example of that? Malinakis in Staten Island. Malinakis ran for mayor of New York City. No chance of victory. None. No shot she could win at all. No chance at all she was going to win. Why'd she do it? To raise her name recognition and also to gain her donor base. And she ran for Congress the year after and won for Congress. She's now a Republican congressman. So I think Mamdani will follow that same suit. He'll run for mayor. He'll lose. But then he'll try to take AOC seat when she moves on to either Senate or her presidential / VP run. Mamdani's young. He's under 35. He's like 34, something like that, 35. He's young. So he's got tons of time. And that person is correct. One of your other chatters, by the way, said Larry's on heroin. If I was, I would tell you, because I'm a libertarian and all drugs should be legal. There we go. So take that. So take that.
Everyone, look. Hey, listen. We listen. Hey, well, actually, hold on. If Mike is still in the chat, first of all, Semper Fi to my other fellow Marine in the chat, Mike. And I think Gray Walker is in there too. I actually had my coffee mug. I had my 2 cups of coffee this morning with my Warhammer 40K with the Blood Angels. So there you go. So there you go. But coffee saves the day in many ways, in more ways than one. But
I have 2 cups. My coffee cup is now empty. I had it, and then my water cup, so I can keep talking. Yeah,
exactly. I got my water bottle right here. So there you go. But what I think is interesting, and here's your point here, because we got a couple of people here, and I want to give a shout out to my guy Hassan, who's saying, wow, Larry may have a point here. Wow. So the point is like, look, does the opposition have a future after this mayoral race against Cuomo? I don't want to say that Cuomo has it all in the bag, but look, names matter, and people do have short-term memory, and I think everyone forgets about the scandals surrounding Cuomo. And once everything dissipates, once it's all done, people are going to be like, oh yeah, Cuomo, he wasn't so bad, even though there's that whole old folks passing away in 2020 under very horrific circumstances.
Yes.
But people forget, and I call it the blurring effect. And I think I've talked about on your show, on Mike's show, and even on a couple of other fellow progressive shows too. And the blurring effect is that we got our smartphones and our computers and our laptops in front of us and our TVs, and then oh yeah, that happened 2 years ago. That happened do I care? What was the whole story? And you forget. So
you do.
Well, I mean,
there's another piece though. I think you see it now. I mean, you see it with Trump. You see it with Cuomo. When people are desperate and they want something to be fixed, they tend to not care. They're just like, I've been trying to fix my city for years. It's not fixed. I don't care if the guy did this. Can he just fix my city? I'm desperate. You see it with Trump. A lot of people voted for Trump last year who don't like Trump at all, who think he's a bad guy. They were like, I just want something to be fixed. I want some change. Fine. I'll vote for the guy. I don't care. A lot of people are starting to move down that road, and it's not good. It's dangerous for us, but I still think it's true, even if though it may be dangerous. I think a lot of people are like, I don't care. If Cuomo can fix things, I don't care what he did. As I mentioned, my state is losing 300,000 people every single year. My state's
Illinois
dying. Yes, Illinois is losing people too. My state's dying. People are like, I don't care. I just want something. Did he kill people? Okay, can he fix the subways? Fine. They don't care. Again, not healthy, but I do think it's true.
And I think and look, I don't know how 2027 is going to play out for Chicago, because that's when we're going to have our municipal election. But you know, after seeing how Cuomo has been gaining ground, and look, as much as I might be critical of the guy, you know, if he's got the numbers and the voter turnout and the machine backing him up, I'm very curious to see who is going to be the contender or Cuomo adjacent in Chicago's election. But what was interesting about Chicago was that Lightfoot was universally hated. She lost the primary. That was the first time ever, you know, we witnessed a one-term mayor in Chicago, and then it was up for grabs because, you know, a seat that is so powerful in Chicago, the mayoral seat here is, I would argue, is more cemented, where the mayor has the final say over everything in Chicago, thanks to the actions of Old Man Daley and Daley Jr., who really turned that seat into what it is. It's the throne.
Your mayor is much more powerful than New York City mayor. New York City mayor actually is not that powerful. The governor controls a whole lot more in New York City than the mayor does. That's true.
Exactly. And so when it comes down to Chicago, and I just kind of maybe want to end it here for Chicago, is that, you know, we don't know who could be that person to fill in that seat, because Brandon Johnson did the impossible and become more hated and despised than Lightfoot. And look, you gotta be an all-star performer to pull off that feat to where you make Lightfoot look good. And that is the big question. What can we learn from New York City? And in turn, what could this mean for Chicago? Because everyone's going to be gunning for Mayor Brandon Johnson, because you got Cuomo, who's got name recognition. And yes, I just want to give a shout out to Roger Meadows. Leave Cuomo's ass in the city. Don't go beyond that. You know what, Roger? You know what, Larry? We maybe we should have like a coverage and talk about what's going to be happening for New York City on New York City election night. Perhaps we should talk about that.
Look, people who don't live in New York will sometimes say, Larry, why in the world, you know, do I care about New York? Now, I actually do a Western New York radio show every Tuesday at 1 p.m. do a live show out of Western New York. I talk about New York City, New York State, New York City issues completely. Why would you care if you don't live in New York? Because it's coming to you. We are a disease that's spreading. We're coming to you. If we can stop them here, we can stop them anywhere. But if we don't stop them here, it's coming to you. At one point, it's coming. Now, if you live in like Utah, it's probably like 20 years. You live in Jersey, it's next week. That's all I'm saying. So yes, it's coming to you.
Exactly, my friend. And so stay tuned. We'll see how this all plays out. But if you're a New Yorker, get ready to become intertwined with Cuomo. There you go. Enjoy that.